Greetings. The title of my study is a comparative study on the effects of trigger point release versus myofascial release for myofascial trigger points of upper trapezius in smartphone users. Coming to the contents, this contains the introduction, review of literature, objectives, inclusion and exclusion criteria, methodology, data analysis, results, discussion and conclusion. Coming to the background of the study, this is a very common scenario seen by young adults nowadays. In the present era of digitalization, smartphones have become a very important part of our day-to-day life. It is reported that India's telecom market is the second largest in the world, and according to TRAI, the number of wireless subscribers are 1,149.52 million as against the population of 1.38 billion. A systematic review found the prevalence of musculoskeletal complaints in the neck as high as 67.8% and also showed evidence of forward neck posture during phone calls, texting or gaming. Neck pain is a very common symptom observed, and pain in the upper trapezius leads to tightness. Most of the smartphone tasks require the person to either bend downwards sharply or attain a forward head posture. So this forward head posture puts a lot of stress on the cervical spine and also the neck muscles. Excessive forward head posture results in an excess of anterior curve in the lower cervical vertebrae and an excess posterior curve in the upper thoracic vertebrae. The abnormal posture results in the development of trigger points, as Travell and Simons describe myofascial trigger points as hyper-irritable spots with taut bands of skeletal muscle fibers which are located by palpation. The upper trapezius, being a postural muscle, is very susceptible to overuse. So taut bands in the trapezius muscle is the most common musculoskeletal disorder seen. Here are a few reviews done on musculoskeletal disorders in smartphone users, and the first one is done by Kim HJ and Kim JS. The relationship between smartphone use and subjective musculoskeletal symptoms and university students, and they found out that the neck was most commonly affected as high as 55.8%. Now going on to the reviews on myofascial release, Catri-Lime et al. Found the effectiveness of musculoskeletal release in the treatment of chronic musculoskeletal pain, where a systematic review was done, and Priya Kannan did a study on the management of myofascial pain of the upper trapezius, where a three-group comparative study was done, and one group was given ultrasound, the other group laser, and the third group was given ischemic compression. The first objective of my study is to find the effect of trigger point release with ultrasound therapy for reducing pain and increasing cervical range of motion in subjects with myofascial trigger points of the upper trapezius in smartphone users. And my second objective is to find the effects of myofascial release with ultrasound therapy for reducing pain and increasing range of motion. The third objective being comparing the effects of trigger point release versus myofascial release. Now, when we go on to the inclusion and exclusion criteria, subjects who had active trigger points in the upper trapezius muscle were included, and those between the age group of 18 to 35 years of both genders and a positive jump sign and who had unilateral pain were included in the study. The excluded subjects were subjects who had smartphone related injuries in the past 1 year, or who had some orthopedic or inflammatory degenerative neuromuscular conditions of the neck, or who had orthopedic surgery of the neck or the upper back, and those who were taking anticoagulant therapy, and who had other specific causes for neck pain were excluded from the study. Also, subjects who had skin disease and who had sensory disturbance in the area of the trapezius muscle were also excluded from the study, and those who were diagnosed with fibromyalgia syndrome and who had taken analgesics in the past 24 hours were also excluded from the study. Now, coming to the study design, the study was a comparative study design and single blinding. The participants were single blinded of the treatment given to them. The sample size was 106 with 53 subjects in each group, and a random sampling technique using lottery method was used. 179 subjects were assessed for eligibility, out of which 69 were excluded. The remaining 110 were randomized into two groups, A and B, and the analysis was done accordingly. Now, the outcome measures which were used were the smartphone addiction scale short version, which consists of 10 questions, and the score is from 1 to 6. And those who got more than 31 males were addicted to smartphone, and if the range was between 22 to 31, they had a high risk of addiction of smartphones, and if the score was more than 33 in women, then that means they were addicted to smartphones, and if it was between 22 to 33, then there is a high risk of addiction. The visual analog scale was the next outcome measure which was used, and the neck disability index, which was developed by Howard and Vernon, was also used in this study, where 0 to 4 points means no disability and 35 to 50 points means complete disability. And here is the subject who's giving the neck disability index. And the range of motion was measured with the universal goniometer, where the patient was seated with the trunk well supported, neck in an anatomical position, and the hands were placed on the lap and the shoulders were relaxed. Then the group, coming to the treatment, group A received trigger point release by ischemic compression, which was followed by ultrasound therapy, and group B received myofascial release followed by ultrasound therapy. Ultrasound is a non-invasive method which consists of piezoelectric crystals and converts the electrical energy to mechanical energy. Here in this study, a pulse mode of 1.2 watts per centimeter square, treatment time 5 minutes and frequency of 1 megahertz, with the patient sitting in a supine position with the back and arm rested. So this was given for 6 sessions. The statistical tool which were used was SPSS software version 22.0, and the normality of all the variables were assessed in both groups. The comparison of the group was done for VAS, NDI, and cervical range of motion, side flexion, and between the pre-test, post-test, and the follow-up measurements using ANOVA. And also comparison between the groups was also done for the pre-test, post-test, and follow-up measurements using ANOVA. Now, coming to the results, there were totally 53 subjects in each group, and there were 25 males in each group and 28 males. So overall, the percentage of female subjects were 53% and male subjects were 47%. The distribution of subjects in both groups, the age group was between 18 to 35 years of age. In group A there were 53, and in group B as well there was 53, and the mean age in group A was 27.22, and in group B the mean age was 26.84. Now, when the BMI and the mean BMI was compared between the groups, the height, weight, and the BMI was calculated. In group A, it was the mean was 162.83. In group B, it was 162.71, and the weight in group A was 66.43. Group B was 64.77, and BMI in group A was 24.30 and group B was 24.47. Comparison of the VAS scores within and between group A and B. The VAS was done for the pre-test, post-test and the follow-up, and for group A as well as group B, and the p-value within the group was 0.001. Coming to the comparison of the mean NDI scores within and between the group. For group A and B, the pre-test, post-test follow-up scores were done, and the p-value was 0.001 for within the groups. And the comparison of mean cervical range of motion side flexion within and between the groups were calculated, and within the groups for all the three, that is the pre-test, post-test and follow-up, the p-value was 0.001. Now coming to the discussion, this experimental trial was conducted to study the quantitative effectiveness of trigger point release and myofascial release in subjects with myofascial trigger point of the upper trapezius in smartphone users. Both the techniques worked on reducing pain and neck disability and increasing cervical range of side flexion. 6 sessions were given and the follow-up was done after 2 weeks. There was a significant difference in the pre-test, post-test and follow-up values in the VAS, NDI and the cervical range of motion, where P was equal to 0.001 within the groups, but it was not significant between the groups. Coming to the conclusion, there was no statistical significance between the groups in alleviation of symptoms and associated disability of myofascial trigger points of upper trapezius in smartphone users. So this study concludes that both the techniques are equally effective in reducing pain and also reducing disability and increasing the cervical range of motion of side flexion. These are some of the references for the study, and thank you for listening. Thank you so much.